Rarely in sports does the rebellion work, because usually the billionaires keep all the billions. And for those of us who are on the outside of the wealth, of the riches, we are kept at arm's length and steamrolled. But in Dallas, the rebellion worked. And for that, all sports fans should rejoice. Let me explain what I mean in just a moment. A reminder, subscribe to the channel. Click on this button below me. That way you are hooked up to the hub here and notified when we have live shows and brand new takes and videos like this. Make sure you are subscribed. The rebellion worked in this way. Fire Nico, 2 words, became synonymous with fan revolt and fan anger and fan frustration, and it did not relent. And it would not relent until the Mavericks heard it. And not only do they have to acknowledge it, they'd have to act on it. And not until Fire Nico actually became what happened. Nico Harrison dismissed from his job as GM of the Mavericks. Not until that moment did the Mavericks fans relent. Once Jason Kidd took the podium before Wednesday's game against the Suns, and after they had already fired the GM and basically did a mea culpa, hey, what else do you want from us? And that's when Jason Kidd said, we feel disrespected. It affects the guys. Basically said, you got what you wanted. Can you now give it up? Can you now relent? Because it is wearing on us. That was the moment that it was proven the rebellion worked. And you had guys like PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford also admitting, yeah, it's defeating. Yes, it felt like road games. Yes, we heard it and it affected us. And note how important this is, because the chant didn't involve the players. It wasn't Mavs suck. It was Fire Nico. And yes, it had a reverberation across all of the different factions, coaches, players, front office, and ownership to make that change. It didn't just affect the players, although it did. It didn't just affect the coach. Obviously, it did. It affected ownership. It affected ownership. And that's the only way that we as sports fans will ever get our pound of flesh, will ever get things turned in our direction, to voice it loud enough and relentlessly enough until ownership or league office listens. And I think this is a really refreshing moment in sports. I really do. I think it's a really, really refreshing moment. And I say that because what other recourse did Mavs fans have to their favorite player, their franchise guy, being traded under murky, shady circumstances for 50 cents on the dollar? They've got social media, and so being aggressive and vile on social media, that's a voice, okay? But I think if it's just that, I think players and coaches like Jason Kidd, PJ Washington, etc., can largely dismiss that as the crackpots, as the bots, as the trolls. But this wasn't vile. This wasn't personal. This wasn't anonymous over social media. These were customers, okay? Paying customers that came to the stadium, came to the arena, decked out of their Mavericks gear publicly, and said 2 words, not vulgar, not vile, very factual: Fire Nico. And that is a powerful thing, that a collective voice that does it relentlessly does not have to be in the weeds, the darkness, the anonymity of social media. It can be out front and central, and you can do it after you pay for your ticket. I think this is refreshing. I think this is emboldening. I think this is really, really encouraging. Because had Mavs fans done this for a week, had they done it for a month, had they done it until the play-in game, had they left it and let it go over to the offseason, it's possible Nico is still employed. But they kept it going. They kept it going. And I know the counter to this is, well, DA, they were 3-8, and Anthony Davis is out, and the plan looks terrible. And you even have the mother of Cooper Flagg saying enough is enough. Okay. So yes, without the fire Nico chant, perhaps just 3-8 was going to be enough to get him fired. But undoubtedly, in my mind, undoubtedly, the breadth, the length, and the ruthlessness of it never going away and it echoing almost like a soundtrack in every home game affected that entire organization, including Mama Flagg. Okay? Including Mama Flagg. And that got the attention of the guy that matters, Patrick Dumont. Now, Patrick Dumont looks like he wants control over whether Anthony Davis is ever going to play again or when he plays and his bill of health and everything going on there. So there might be skepticism from Patrick Dumont just about the return in general, about the player in general, and maybe that also colors all this with Nico Harrison. I admit all of that. But I think this is incredibly obvious. Fire Nico was inescapable for Patrick Dumont. And it was beginning to affect negatively all of the people that he still does value. Maybe he didn't value Nico. Maybe he didn't value Luka, I should say. Maybe he learned to value Luka, but he certainly values Cooper Flagg. He certainly values the rest of the roster. He certainly values Jason Kidd at the moment. And all of those people were being affected by this as well. And Patrick Dumont had no choice. It was like, we have to pop this balloon. And the first game after Nico Harrison was fired, there was nary a peep. When they played the Suns on Wednesday, there were no chants that broke out. And so they did pop that balloon, but the balloon was blown large, huge, inescapable by all of the fire Nico chants. And so I just think the casket outside of the arena, the signs and the chants, the never-ending volume of something very simple should be a rallying cry for sports fans all across the country, North America, and perhaps the world. We oftentimes feel powerless. What can we do? All we do is get trampled over by ownership. We can't change ownership. We can't do anything about ticket prices. We can't do anything about parking and the price of jersey sales. Yet even when our team loses, we still want them to win. So we wake up the next morning and watch them again. We can't do anything because we can't break the cycle, right? You can't walk away from that team. All of these Mavs fans, even though they had their favorite player sold at half price, even though their favorite guy walked out and they got nothing in return, they still kept showing up. They didn't say, I'm no longer a Mavs fan. They showed up and they voiced their opinion, and the opinion was heard. And so remember this, sports fans, and great job to Mavs fans for doing this. Great job by Mavs fans. You gave a voice to all these other fan bases that feel completely exploited and manipulated. It doesn't make Luka come back, okay? And who knows what the rest of this future looks like. Luka perhaps winning titles and MVPs in LA certainly is not going to make anybody feel better in Dallas. And we'll see. If they're a fringe playoff team with Cooper Flagg, that doesn't make anybody feel better about the whole thing as well. But what you can feel good about is that your frustrations and your relentlessness in voicing the frustration made an impact. Ownership heard it, and ownership acted on it. They acted on it, and they had to. There was really no other choice. They had to, because it had crept into every pore, every cell, every square inch of that organization. And that's a powerful, powerful lesson. Don't give up the fight as a sports fan. Make sure you are heard. They will listen. You can force them to. Thanks so much for listening, for watching, for being subscribed to the channel. Make sure you click on this button below me to make sure you are subscribed. Appreciate you very much. I'm DA, Damon Amendolara. We'll see you next time.